Hi everyone, this is Noah Sandler from Mtgo Academy, and today we're going to be doing a Legacy Cube single elimination draft. But before we get started, I want to let you know that I've begun coaching limited again, and I'm looking for new students. I charge $40 an hour for one-on-one Skype sessions, so if you'd like to get more information, send me a message on Twitter at Nova Sandler, or on Twitch to my account MotoGrinder1. So let's jump into Q. Okay, so we've got an Arbor Elf, Underworld Connections, Xenagos, Sphinx's Revelation, Perforos, Vampire Hexmage, Remove Soul. So nothing too great here, and I think it's one of those picks that you can kind of take a card that fits with your preference. I do like Perforos a lot in this cube, and it's just nice with token strategies. So I think I'll take that here. I think Arbor Elf is perfectly fine. Sphinx's Rev is okay. Remove Soul is okay too, but I think Arbor Elf or Perforos are probably the best two cards. Arbor Elf maybe has a higher win percentage overall, but I do like Green Ramp, but Perforos leads to a lot of fun decks and could also just be mono red. Oof, Craterhoof Behemoth. Goblin Rabble Master though. And Keranos, Eldrazi Monument, Secure the Waste, Oracle of Moldiah, Sorin. We'll take the Rabble Master. It goes really, really well with Perforos, and so we'll stay on target. Either probably going to be mono red or red-white tokens. Okay, Batterskull, Monastery Swift Spear, Forked Bolt, Steam Vents, Mizium Mortars, Avalanche Riders, Oblivion Ring, Terminate. So, Batterskull can be fine in mono red. It's not the ideal 5-drop. Usually only want to play about 2. It's still okay, and obviously it's a very powerful card. So I might take it here. I could take Swift Spear, which tends to fit the curve a little better of what you want to do with a mono red deck. And for red-white tokens, maybe Batterskull will be a little bit better. I think I'm just going to take the Swift Spear. Mortars is also nice, but you usually want to just focus on killing your opponent rather than removing their creatures. So we have Manic Vandal, Curse Scroll, or Dragon Fodder. Also Student of Warfare. All three of these are relatively close. I mean, in some cubes, Manic Vandal would be the clear pick, but I think in this one, artifacts aren't quite as significant with less mana rocks, so I'm going to take the Dragon Fodder. Let's go with the token theme. And we have a Hell Rider that's amazing in red tokens. Winter Orb also okay. Bloodbraid Elf could be cool too. So yeah, this is looking great. Getting the 5th pick Hell Rider. Looks like mono red should be perfectly fine. I'm going to go for tokens base, and then we still could play white as well. Now for this pick, Char is really nice. Mog War Marshal goes well with the tokens theme. It's great with Perforos. Also, Battlefield Forge and Wood Fit Hills would be nice to pick up. I think I'm just going to go with the War Marshal just to fit with the token theme. But Char, I think, is generally a more powerful card for just like mono red. But I'm going to go with War Marshal and stick to tokens. And I suppose sort of goblins as well. We've got 3 goblin cards. We'll take a Flame Tongue Kavu over Stagger Shock. Shock can do 4 to the face, so sometimes it will definitely be better than Flame Tongue, but Flame Tongue is just so powerful that we'll take it here. Alright, there's Plateau for the white splash. There's also just an Ashen Moor Gouger, and it looks like mono red's perfectly open, so I'll just commit taking the Gouger. It's also possible we get back the Boros Reckoner that we opened. And we do. I'll take that over Active Aggression or Tectonic Edge. So this is looking great. Definitely worth noting that Gouger and Reckoner both work really well with Perforos, giving you 3 extra devotion. So I'm really happy with how this is looking. I'd like to maybe table a burn spell or two. Our Monastery Swiftspear isn't looking that great at the moment. We're really creature heavy. But other than that, this looks fantastic. So, we have Eldrazi Monument or Skullcrack. So, Monument, it's certainly nice with tokens. If you played on turn 5 with a reasonable board position, you probably win the game. I think I'll take it over Skullcrack. I think Crack might be the better pick since, I mean, just mono red's looking really nice. And it's also a decent sideboard card against life gain. But Monument could end up being pretty exciting, so I'm going to take that. I think I'm going to take Mizium Mortars. Just, against green decks, be able to remove some of their bigger creatures early on. Not too huge on Avalanche Riders these days, and there's just a lot of good 4-drops. Forkbolt is nice, and I think that it can go to the face, but I like, for where we're at right now, I like being able to remove a larger creature, and then sometimes you can overload it and get rid of your opponent's board. I think Manic Vandal over Curse Scroll. I think I'd rather have it's okay main deck card, but at least really good sideboard card. Scroll's good. I used to be in love with the card. I don't know. It's a little bit slow, I suppose. I don't think I'll need it. Guess we'll take a Winter Orb. Could hate the Stomp Howler, but Winter Orb could be good. And we have the Sagger Shock back, which is really nice with Swiftspear, because it gives you prowess on both turns that it casts. And we've got 14 cards right now, after 14 playables after pack 1, so I don't think the Vandal is going to make the cut. We have Outpost Siege, Prophetic Flame Speaker. I think the Flame Speaker is very likely to table. It's just so committing and only really fits in aggressive red deck. So I think I'll take the Outpost Siege, which you could use the Dragons version of it as a tokens deck to finish your opponent off. So yeah, I mean, it's another 4-drop. There are a lot of really good 4-drops in red, so I think it's only okay. I want to pick up some cheap burn, cheap creatures. So we have Arc Trail versus Beetleback Chief. I think I'm just going to take the Arc Trail. Beetleback Chief is another 4-drop. It does give you 3 creatures, which is awesome. With Hellrider, Perforos, Monument. But I do think it's probably going to table, and I'd like to pick up some nice cheap removal. Arc Trail can be pretty powerful. So we have Incinerate, Firefist Striker, Phyrexian Revoker. Striker is pretty good in a tokens deck, but I'm pretty sure it's going to table. So I think it's Revoker or Incinerate. I think I'm just going to take the Incinerate. Goblin Bombardment, Assemble the Legion, Falcon Wrath, Aristocrat, Electrolyze. How good is Goblin Bombardment? I'm not actually a big fan of the card. I suppose this would be one of the places that you might want to run it. Because, I mean, we're going to have a lot of creatures. Without damage on the stack, I mean, you're sacking a 1/1 to deal 1 damage. Could finish a game off. I prefer Eldrazi Monument. So I think I'm just going to take Assemble the Legion, and maybe we can pick up a splash for white, because it is a card that just ends the game by itself. I could be wrong about Bombardment, and Assemble also is kind of slow, but I think there'd be some matchups where it could be pretty good. And Burst Lightning, we'll just take that over Boros Charm, Kiln Fiend. Banefire, Siege Gang Commander. We'll take Siege Gang. So that's our second 5-drop with the Monument. It looks like we're definitely going to run the Monument at this point. And Siege Gang gives us 4 creatures for 1 card. Pretty insane with Perforos. And we have Riftbolt versus Zealous Conscripts. Also, Graftwood Wargear can be really nice with tokens. So, Conscripts and Riftbolt are both very good. Conscripts would be our third 5-drop, but it is one of the better 5-drops, so taking it would be reasonable. But we could also just take the Riftbolt and keep the curve down a little bit. I think I'm just going to take the Bolt. So I usually only like having 2 5-drops, and that means that basically, like if we see Thundermaw, Hellkite, or Stormbreath Dragon, I think, we basically can't take them at that point. So I'm just going to take the cheaper removal. And we'll take a Chain Lightning over Jackal Pup. The 1-drop creatures are really important, but Jackal Pup is one of the worst ones. Used to be amazing back in the day, but there's just a lot better 1-drops these days, and Chain Lightning is premier removal spell. So, I mean, with red being so open, we should be able to pick up a couple 1-drops in the last pack. I usually like to have about 3 or 4. So I think we're looking fine there. Deck's still looking great. I think Wind Orb's probably going to end up in the board. Can be really nice, especially against like blue-black control decks that need to tap out turn 4, turn 5, turn 6, playing big threats. We'll take Prophetic Flame Speaker. It's probably pretty cool with Monument. It's 2 red for Devotion for Perforos, and we have some good removal to maybe force it through. That said, I think the card is overall unimpressed in Cube. I thought it would be really good, but just its ability, like a lot of times you have to tap down to cast removal spells before you attack with it. So when it actually double flips off the top, you might not be able to cast the spells, and they just sit there. And we got the Beetleback Chief back. There's also Sulphur Falls, but I don't think there's much that we want to splash in blue, so we'll take the Chief. At the moment, Chief would make the cut. It's possible we'll end up cutting it at the end, and just because we're at 21 playables right now, and I expect to see a really good pack 3. So I think we're going to be cutting a lot of the cards that are decent but aren't necessary, like Mizium Mortars as well. We'll take the Fire Fist Striker, which is definitely nice here, at least as a sideboard card against like green creature decks to be able to force your creatures through, but could also maybe make the main. And there's Goblin Bombardment. I suppose I'll take it. Aristocrat can be really nice in these decks too, and I mean it's definitely a more powerful card in these decks. I don't know. I don't think there's much incentive for me to take Black's Fixing and try to fit it in at this point. We'll take a Boros Charm over Kiln Fiend. I don't think Kiln Fiend's going to be that powerful. If we splash white, there's a chance that, like, if we end up getting a lot of fixing. Though since Plateau and Battlefield Forge are gone, I don't think we're going to end up with too much white fixing. But if we did end up with a lot, I think Charm might make the cut. And Grafted Wargear is perfectly fine in this deck. Probably going to leave it in the board for now. So there's Ashcloud Phoenix and Rishadan Port. Also Crater's Claws, Rakdos Return. Phoenix is perfectly fine, but we've got a lot of 4-drops. I'm just going to take the Rishadan Port. We have no non-basic lands right now. I mean, we do have 2 triple red cards, so it's a little rough, but I mean, if we have to wait a turn, we get to port our opponent and play something else in the meantime. I think that's okay. So I'm just going to take the port. But I would only take maybe 1 more colorless land at this point. And we'll take Stromkirk Noble over Chandra. Pretty powerful pack. Elspeth Sun's Champion, Emrakul, Garruk, Lotus Cobra, Forbid, Battlesphere, but wanted good 1-drops, and Noble definitely is one. And not a great pack. Bonfire, we're not going to have too much mana, so Bonfire is not really exciting. Frenzy Goblin can be okay, again against the green decks. Clifftop Retreat, let's splash for Assemble the Legion, which I don't think is too important. Slagstorm is very, very good against us. We probably wouldn't play it. And Spellskite is okay, but since we're playing with a lot of tokens, we don't really need to protect one particular creature. So, honestly, I don't really want anything here. I could hate Slagstorm. I mean, I might just take Bonfire. I suppose Bonfire is as good as Slagstorm against us. And if we face like a white token deck, then we could definitely side it in. So, I'll take the Bonfire. And Lightning Bolt, Young Pyromancer, probably just taking Bolt. Pyromancer is also very good. Like making more, like it's a creature. It's a 2-drop that actually makes more creatures, which is great for our deck. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Get the Bombardment out. 5, 6, 7. 7 instants and sorceries. So Pyromancer is definitely good in this deck. I think I'm just going to take the Lightning Bolt, though. It's so flexible and powerful. And Fire Ice versus Loxodon Warhammer, and jeez, this pack is just all cards that are great against us. Thragtusk, like look at all this lifelink. Archangel, Sorin, Soulfire Grandmaster, Loxodon Warhammer, Primal Command, Elixir, so much life gain in this pack. I think it'll just be Fire and Ice. It's just like if facing elf decks or token decks, it can be good, but I think it'd be in the board. And there's the Thundermaw Hellkite, also Ancient Tomb, Stomping Ground. So Hellkite would definitely be fine. Ancient Tomb can get us to Hellrider, Outpost Siege, Perforos, Beetleback Chief, Siege Gang earlier, maybe turn 2 Rabble Master. So Tomb is certainly nice, but we do have these double red cards. Thundermaw Hellkite is very good too, so I think I'm just going to take the Hellkite. And Hordeling Outburst versus Flame Slash. I'll take the Outburst. It should be like a premier card in this archetype. And we already have Mizium Mortars and plenty of removal. So Striker maybe gets cut, maybe Swift Spear. Thinking Prophetic Flame Speaker can go. And we keep all the 5s. I'd like to try Monument. It does seem very exciting, having lots of creatures. You play it, you might just win the game that turn, and then giving all your creatures indestructible makes it, like, it plays defense as well. And you can make multiple creatures per turn on subsequent turns. Here, Mutavault versus Cunning Spark Mage. I definitely like both. Mutavault with Rabble Master, there's a little bit of synergy. Mutavault's good with Striker. It's our second colorless land for the Reckoner and the Gouger. I do like Spark Mage though, it's a very good sideboard card. I'm going to go with the Mutavault, but I think that's very close. I think I'll take Phoenix here. Claws is okay, just X-Spells aren't that exciting in mono red. Take a Pyromaster, and still don't think Frenzy Goblin is, I suppose just against like a big green creature deck I could put it in, but I don't think Spellskite's that good, so I think I'm just going to hate the Slagstorm. So we're at 26 right now. Phoenix is fine, but I think it can be cut. Pyromaster is definitely good. It's near the bottom with Beetleback Chief, I think, for the 4-drops, so I might end up cutting one of these. And Young Pyromancer came back. That's definitely making the cut. So let's get rid of Beetleback Chief and Chandra. Chandra versus Outpost Siege is kind of interesting. I mean, since the deck is pretty aggressive, Chandra could just be better. Like, they both have a similar effect if you +0 Chandra, but the turn you play Chandra, it makes something not block. So it's actually a more aggressive card. I think Archangel is the scariest, maybe. Let's get rid of Striker. Swiftspear is starting to look pretty decent since we have Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, Burst Lightning, Arc Trail, Incinerate, Dragon Fodder, Rift Bolt, Stagger Shock, Outburst. So Swiftspear is actually pretty good now. So this is if we play 17 lands. We probably just run 16, though it's slightly short since we actually are running 3 5s. So for the last card, we could keep the curve a little lower. So options are Grafted War Gear, Mizium Mortars, Fire Fist Striker, Chandra, I think. And I'm leaning Striker. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 creatures before turn 3. I think just getting an extra one in is a pretty good idea. So it just helps us go creature, and then start burning things, and lead into our turn 4 and 5 that are pretty powerful. And then also just gives us another creature that helps Monument, Perforos, Pal Rider, etc. Yeah, with 16 lands, I could add another 4-drop, but the deck might get a little clunkier. So I think this is fine, but certainly in some matchups, Mortars. Yeah, Mortars could be a lot better than a 2-1 in some matchups, but I feel pretty good about this. So let's put in $14 Mountains. Also, War Gear could be good if we're not facing artifact removal. Just put on a token, you get a 4/3. So let's submit, and I'll see you for round 1. Okay. Ready for round 1, and we'll mulligan this hand and keep this. Keep Mutable on top. I suppose you could also put the Mutavault on the bottom, but I'd like to get to a Hell Rider on turn 4 if possible. So, do we run out Mutavault or Mountain here? I mean, almost for sure going to just go with Pyromancer on turn 2. So I think I'm just going to lead with the Mountain. If we draw another Mountain and then one of our like Reckoner or Gouger, then we can actually drop them on turn 3 if we don't go for the Mutavault yet. And then depending on what we see next turn, we'll either go for Mutavault or the Mountain. Okay, Tribe Elder, it's pretty annoying. So we have a Mountain. If we drew Reckoner or Gouger, we would just play Mountain. This makes it kind of close. There's only 2 cards in our deck that punish us for going for Mutavault. And there's a good chance we'd actually attack with Mutavault next turn, considering what we have in our hand. So I am going to play the Mutavault. So it's like 1 out of 16 chance of getting punished, but in that case, like in the 15 out of 16 times, we're gonna be able to attack with Mutavault. I guess, I mean, maybe the opponent just blocks and sacks with the Tribe Elder, though it forces them to do that, and then we can start attacking with Pyromancer and tokens. So that's not a really bad thing. Okay, we just drew a Mountain. I think we start with Lightning Bolt. Well, start with Mutavault attack. I don't think opponent's ever double blocking, but suppose we should give them the opportunity. And they take 2. go bolts on elves. It'd be kind of interesting, maybe upkeep bolt elves. Because that opponent, like their decision on whether to sack Tribe Elder, which it seems like they don't want to, but maybe they will now that they don't have elves. Yeah, that's what they did, so maybe it would be better to just go to upkeep. I mean, I suppose... I mean, there's not that much that would punish us for that. So I think actually going for upkeep would have been better. If they're just planning on casting a 5-drop here, then they might not have sacked Elder in a turn, considering they didn't block with it. Okay, Gilded Lotus. So we'll go for Hell Rider, smash in for a bunch of damage, and then hope that that's enough to get lethal next turn, maybe. It usually is. People don't usually live 3 turns to a Hell Rider. And we do have the Mutavault. So if they just have like one large creature, I suppose maybe a Primus kills Mutavault, but something like a Craterhoof Behemoth we can beat. Rampaging Baloths plus a land. Hope it's not a fetch. Okay. So, I have 2 blockers. That's 3, 7, 9. That's still lethal. Plus a Chain Lightning. I mean, to get an extra token, you could Chain Lightning pre-combat, but they have mana up, and so they could shoot it back at our Hell Rider. That would be devastating. So let's not do that. And looks like we're going to take this. Again, Hell Rider usually only stays in play for 2 turns before the game's over. Okay. So opponent is playing a big green ramp deck with Gilded Lotus. Kind of makes me want to put the Manic Vandal in. I mean, they might not have that many targets, and Vandal doesn't play on curve against Lotus, so I'm not too sure about that. Fire and Ice could be good. Chandra Pyromaster seems very good. It's going to kill an elf or make a large creature not be able to block. Arc Trail is definitely good. Fire Fist should be pretty good, although against elves and secure Tribe Elder, maybe it's just not quite powerful enough. Monument seems pretty good. Phoenix seems good. This opponent can't really block it. Might go for Phoenix over Outpost Siege. Let's get a little more aggressive, because the opponent is ramping into like a really large threat, so something like Phoenix just is like such a more aggressive card than Siege. This all looks good. Sagger Shock's fine. Similar to Arc Trail, could kill 2 things. Swiftspear is fine. Noble is not the greatest, but it could just trade with an elf, which is fine. So we will run this, I think. If I still had more artifacts, I'd put in Vandal, but it just doesn't play on curve, so we're going to hold it for a while and just hope opponent plays Gilded Lotus on turn 5, and if they don't, then I guess we'll just throw the Vandal out as a 2-2, so I don't think it's good enough. Mortars is also good, so we could maybe overload it, but we'll go with this. That's a great hand. So we can kill the turn 1 elf, and then we've got a nice curve. Actually, Pyromancer into Reckoner, then Fodder probably. Definitely have to kill the elf there. Can't let opponent make any progress. I think we go with Pyromancer. If they have one removal spell, that's a lot worse. But this lets us get an extra token out of Fodder. Doesn't attack as well if opponent plays like a 1/1. Though since it's turn 3, there's probably not that many creatures like that they could play. Fauna Shaman. So this will be a really nice turn. And a Flame Tongue. Sorry, there's a leaf blower in the background. Yeah, let's go Lightning Bolt. I'm happy that I basically hated the Slag Storm and the Bonfire. We'll go Dragon Fodder. We even have Kavu to back it up. Five creatures in play on turn 3, and we've killed 2 of our opponent's creatures. I think we can reasonably beat even a Thragtusk here. So they have no turn 4 play. And, I mean, I don't think there's some Master Removal spell they could have on turn 5 that they wouldn't have had already. And, I mean, we already hated a few of the good ones, so we'll go with Reckoner. Stagger Shock's also a great play here. Like, it's 4 damage to the face plus 2 more tokens. But Reckoner deals a lot of damage, so we'll play that now, and then... I mean, if I thought an opponent might have a Master Removal spell, then I would just hold up the Stagger Shock, but I just think... Like, I just can't think of one that they could have, so I'll just keep putting stuff on the board. That's Nissa Worldwaker. That's really doesn't do much. Untap 3 lands, play a 1/1. Five, 7, 9 to the face plus Stagger Shock would be lethal. I think we just kill the Nissa though. Like we go FTK, move, miss. Oh, actually, what if I had attacked with everything at face? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I could put him to 1 with Kavu on the Reckoner, but this is certainly fine. So we'll kill Nissa. And rest that opponent. There's no reason to let them get that much mana, or minimum a creature, and you should have the game next turn. Balos shouldn't be a problem, and that's oof. That's a lot of damage. F6, and that's the match. So yeah, that was brutal. I mean, that's what. I mean, mono red, I suppose, has always been about that, but I mean, I like this tweak of having the token synergy as well. I think it makes it a little more fun to play, a little more interesting. So I'll see you for round 2. Okay, ready for round 2. So we'll keep this. Opponent went to 6. Probably going to put the port out there and port into Rabblemaster. Seems better than going for the turn 3 Gouger. But we'll see what opponent does next turn. Could change things. I mean, they might take the Stagger Shock, but they probably should just take something to disrupt my curve. Like if I have to spend a turn Stagger Shocking to get rid of the Scholar, that's probably good for them. So they might take the Outpost Siege or maybe the Rabblemaster. Let's take the Stagger Shock. I think I disagree with that, but I suppose if they have like other 2 toughness creatures, then they would want a shot of like fully removing the card. And we get Incinerate anyway. Suppose we just go Mount and Incinerate that. And now it's probably Gouger. Wow, FDK is great. Probably still Gouger. Could post-combat Rabblemaster. Rabblemaster plus Dragon Siege is kind of cool, but we'd probably just want to be drawing cards. Yeah, I'll go with Gouger, and then next turn probably FTK the token, get in for 4. Glorious Anthem. Oh, opponent missed their attack. That's really big for me. That was just 6 damage that was going to make things really difficult, and now things are looking a lot better. And Stagger Shock's looking good too. Opponent has 1 card in hand. Please don't be ridiculous. Mentor of the Meek. It's not bad. Definitely take the hit from Gravecrawler here. And best play is probably Stagger Shock the Blade Splicer and then attack with both. And opponent's really gonna have to think about blocking with their Mentor. Then we also get to port down the Chapel. Going for Rabblemaster, like just making the attack, opponent just puts Splicer on Kavu, that's pretty bad. So I think we have to go for the Stagger Shock play. Any other play just slows us down too much. Upkeep, stop. Hello. What? Whoa, don't want to change that. Unlock. Oh, stops are locked? Well, that's interesting. Huh. I guess if you just like your stops, you can lock them so you can't accidentally click off one of them. Interesting. I like adjusting my stops so I can have the least as possible for most of the game, and then if I need it, I'll just remember, say, okay, I'll put a stop on upkeep. I mean, that's worked for me. I can definitely see other people being better off with just having more stops, and I've actually seen people have all the stops, which just seems absurd to me, to just go click, 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 click every single turn. Let's see what opponent got here. 4 mana. That's Hangerback Walker. That's pretty bad for me with the Glorious Anthem. was hoping they wouldn't have drawn something that good here. We do have the rebound of Stagger Shock. I think we put it at the Gravecrawler. So this is when it dies for each counter on it, so opponent would get 2/2/2 flyers. And we either go for Rabble Master or Outpost Siege. There's an argument to be made for just going to face, but I don't see how we're immediately ending the game, so let's still play for the board. Rift Bolts, okay. So we probably want to just attack with the Gouger first. If the opponent wants to block, that's fine. I could pre-combat Rabble Master, makes the opponent a little less likely to block. Either way, I think we're going to go with the Rift Bolt on the Walker. So the opponent gets 2/1/1 flyers, but if we just pass and they get to block, put a counter on it, and get 3/1/1 flyers and kill the Gouger, that would be pretty devastating. Let's see, we could also, wait, at the beginning of combat, on your turn, put a creature into play. Yeah, so we'll do that. Opponent probably blocks the Goblin token. And then we'll Rift Bolt to finish it off. And I will actually consider going for dragons with Siege, because it's minimum just 1 damage here, and then it goes up from there. The Boros Reckoner is also a really good draw. Reckoner is probably better. Yeah, it's definitely better. Now I could send the Rabble Master in too. Could also go for Siege and then attack with everything. Like, trading for opponent's token is not bad. Means the Gouger gets through. That said, I think I'm just gonna send the Gouger. I think opponent should double block, and that's why I'm considering maybe going for Rabble Master attack and force them to not make that block. But this seems okay too. So they go to 7. We play Reckoner. Now, if they have a Wrath effect, this sucks. They just seem like they're white weenie though, so I don't feel like they're running Wraths. Maybe one, maybe like a Martial Coup, but they're not up to 7 yet. And we can tap down the Chapel, maybe keep them off Damnation. Maybe something like Toxic Deluge as well, but they're getting low on life. So, upkeep, stop, tap the Chapel. Gideon, so they make a creature. Do we have lethal? Siege Gang Commander. We have 6 mana, so we go for Siege. Attack with everything. Opponent has to block the Rabble Master. That's 1, 2, 5, 6. Opponent goes to 1. Now we have Siege out. I think that's probably the best play. Dragons. Could also leave the Rattlemaster back. So emblem comes indestructible creature. Those don't worry me too much. So face, 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 and we'll go face. And we'll just put opponent to 1. Oh, thought I was passing through phases and I accidentally did damage to Gideon. Shouldn't matter though. Okay, so we got game 1. This opponent is white-black tokens, Glorious Anthem. And that means that we can definitely put in Mizium Mortars in Slagstorm. Or hold on, whoa, that's not what I meant. We can definitely put in Bonfire. And then we can think about other things we could put in. Not Slagstorm though, I mean we're tokens too. Bonfire just goes one way. Mortars just goes one way too. I think Pyromaster could be good. Did I take the cunning? No, we took the Mutavault over the Spark Mage, so don't have that. Stagger Shock's good. Gouger might be a little bit weak. Definitely Fire Fist Striker is awful against tokens. Swift Spear is still pretty good. Monument, that's pretty good also. We're at 42 cards. Let's look at the Gouger. Like, opponent having a lot of tokens makes just a creature that can't block a lot weaker. Fire Ice could also be good too. But kind of like Mortars, I mean, we get up to 6 mana, can just take out their whole board in a lot of situations. Swift Spear or Monument maybe. Or it could cut Outpost Siege since it's going to be kind of an aggressive game. Oh, well, let's see. Is Siege better than Bonfire? I think Bonfire is good. Alright, we'll cut Siege. Yeah, this hand's great. Other than having the Bonfire in the main, or in our hand, yeah, this is really good hand against tokens. We've got 3 burn spells that can hit multiple creatures. There's our Perforos, probably the best card in our deck, up there with Hellrider. And then we even have Young Pyromancer to go with all of this burn. Opponent has High Market, Mutavault. Would be nice to not let them get the Walker higher. On the other hand, if I go for Pyromancer first, I do get an extra token out of it. I might even be able to hit something else that they play with Arc Trail. Plus we have Bonfire to get rid of the tokens once we kill the Walker, so let's go Mutavault. Attack for 1 Pyromancer. It is unfortunate if they do just have removal for the Pyromancer, though. That's the negative of this play. Sin Collector. See, that's actually not bad. They're gonna be pretty unhappy with my hand. All 3 of these kill all their creatures. So, you know, which one you want to take? I mean, perhaps Bonfire is the best, because immediately it seems, oh, they're going to take Stagger Shock. I guess they're going to sacrifice the... They're just going to give up that I'm killing both these creatures this turn, and Stagger Shock maybe has the most long-term potential. Wow, and Hellrider. Yeah, let's go Bonfire for 1. I think Arc Trail is just a lot more flexible, easier to cast. And when I get to 5 mana, that's when Bonfire starts getting better. I mean, I guess like if an opponent just runs out like 4 tokens of something, I guess Bonfire takes care of those. But I think the Arc Trail is probably going to end up better. So we Bonfire for 1, pre-combat, and then just attack with the Swift Spear. And hopefully draw land next turn, go Hellrider. Okay, Kytheon. So that Indestructible could hold our attacks back. No, they go for Vindicate. Land? Land would be incredible. Yes. On the other hand, I don't want to lose my Hellrider, so I'm not going to attack it into this board. In that case, I think Arc Trail or Perforos would be best, and I think Arc Trail is probably the best play here. So we're going to kill both of these. We get to pump the Swift Spear, we get to attack with Mutavault. So I mean, it keeps the tempo up. And then the opponent only has 2 cards in hand. It's possible they just sit back with Indestructible up for Kytheon, which isn't that great, but it actually does hold off my attacks. So I kind of like taking it out on a turn where they don't have mana up. And we can go either Hellrider or Perforos, depending on what they play next turn. So with Parallax Wave, I think Perforos is definitely the one to go with here. So this is an enchantment creature when you play it, so it shouldn't trigger the Swift Spear. I suppose that doesn't really matter. Nah, we'll just attack first. So opponent, yeah, they'll kill the token. They should probably just let me keep the Swift Spear, but they'll get rid of it too. That's fine. Perforos. It's a pretty good counter to the wave, since just playing creature gives me 2 damage. Some Morph. So I imagine it's that destroy target, like big creature, becomes a 3/2 with Megamorph. So I'm going to Chain Lightning that. If it was Exalted Angel, oh actually opponent has Parallax Waves, so they do get to save their creature here if that's the case. In that case, I mean, if it's Exalted Angel, can't really do anything about it. I can go for Hellrider and just pass. Gets 2 damage in, puts an extra red devotion on the board. I think I like that. Could it be anything else? I mean, I'm not really seeing what else it could be. Okay, opponent just waves it. Wait, whenever a creature enters battle under your control. Wow, so yeah, I mean it's obviously a good counter for wave, but when the creatures come back, opponents can take extra damage from this ability. So Dragon Slayer's out, they get 1 swing with their life linker, gain a little life back, but then we'd be able to deal with it. Feel like Hellkite's a good play here, because that is actually, I mean, that puts opponent has to sacrifice their Dragon Slayer just to stay at 1 if we do that. So I'm gonna go with that. Opponent has instant speed removal in hand, and going for Chain Lightning to kill a Dragon Slayer is better, but like this might do the exact same thing. Leave me with a Chain Lightning. This opponent's at 4. They might not know that they have to high market here, but I guess they will because the stuff is on the stack. But they might just be conceding as well. Okay. So they're going to go to 1. We've got a nice board out, including the Indestructible Perforos, and that's match. So, yeah, another, I mean, pretty much a blowout. Their deck was kind of cool too, but I did pick up a couple cards that were good against other token strategies, including the bonfire, and that worked out really well. So, see you for the finals. Okay, ready for the finals? So, lose die roll again, opponent rolls to 6. We'll keep this. It's not a very good hand. It does have one drop into port with the burn spell, but the monument isn't looking so good with such a creature light hand. Still could turn into something pretty exciting. Turn 1 Ancient Tomb. Interesting. That's very interesting. I mean, maybe opponent kept, like they kept with the tomb, thinking they get the scry, could put another land on top into play. I mean, did they scry? They scryed to the bottom. Okay, Wood Elves. Still, I gotta say I'm pretty happy to see an Ancient Tomb as a mono red deck. And let's go Swift Spear in. And I'm just gonna tap the breeding pool. I think opponents free to use Tomb as much as they want. I mean, I'm not saying that we're necessarily winning this game. I mean, we just drew lands. We still need to draw some gas, but if the opponent takes damage off the tomb for a couple turns, that's going to help us out a lot. Oh, they just pass. Another mountain. Really unfortunate. But, I mean, I guess opponent's stuck, so could be worse. Could suspend Riftbolt, but I won't. Okay, opponent impulses. They'll pretty much find, at least one land there, and then they're likely going to hit lands for the next couple turns, because they get to draw 2 more cards beyond what they just searched for. Okay, Mog War Marshal. That's about in time for when we needed it. Echo's a little bit awkward with the monument. Like, we probably need to pay the Echo. Go for monument later. So just keep tapping down the pool. Alright, they tap Tomb. If it's a Thrag Tusk, that sucks, or Primal Command. It's Acidic Slime, so they kill the port. It's not great for us. Feel like we need to pay upkeep, and I'll probably suspend the Riftbolt. Upkeep just helps a lot with the monument. Siege Gang, that's good with monument. So suspend Riftbolt and pass. So this is actually lethal. If opponent just plays like a big ground creature like Avenger of Zendikar, it's 3, 6, 10 damage if they tap their tomb. So it's potentially lethal. Courser of Crewfix, put a land into play, so they go to 13. They take 2 to play Garrick. Imagine they'll kill my Swift Spear. Okay. So, I think Riftbolt probably hits Garrick. We play Siege Gang and then go Monument and hope that that's lethal. The Garrick could search for like any creature sacking something, so it's 3, 6, 7 mana, 8 mana. So they could play something kind of scary. So I think I just kill the Garrick. Could go face. But I think I'll have enough damage next turn. I mean, it's 4, 5, 6 creatures, so that's minimum 12 damage. Opponent plays 1 land, so they go to 12. I think that's what we want to do. Boros Reckoner, let's go with Siege Gang. Then Monument next turn, and hope that that's lethal. Wow. Galenolendra Archmage, wow. Changes things. Reckoner's really good. So they have blue mana up. Or non-creature spell. Can't play the Monument. I mean, we do have a lot of goblins, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're one short of just getting lethal. The opponent's going to get like maybe a land next turn plus a rampant growth. Boros Reckoner is pretty strong for getting damage in. Could make a big attack. So go Reckoner, Gouger. Gouger's okay, pretty much just trades with the slime. We could put a Goblin in front of that. And I suppose the opponent's not actually playing anything threatening next turn, so maybe just Reckoner, Gouger is good enough. Well, let's see, actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's actually 14. Never mind. I can sack the War Marshal twice. So I'm just going to play Reckoner. I can still play Gouger. Let's see, because I have 6 mana, so like I have enough to deal, sufficient damage to win with Goblin tokens. So I have 7 potential Goblins. So 2 puts opponent to 10. Next turn I could deal 4, or I could just go with Gouger. It's interesting whether Gouger speeds us up or slows us down. I mean, it gives me 1 sack by not playing it. That's definitely interesting. I think I'm just going to pass. I think that I have enough damage on the table with the Reckoner. Opponent has Nature's Lore on top, but they're going to growth, so they're going to find something else. Just a land, but they get to put that into play, so we'll see what they have for next turn. Sundering Titan. So, okay, let's see. I take the 2. So end turn they go to 12. Attack with Reckoner. So I'm just creature player. So, I mean, they might block with Ooze. This is interesting, because I could also sack to kill Archmage next turn, play Gouger, sack to kill Archmage, and then have Monument for the turn after. And I think that's likely to win. Could also sack to kill Slime and attack with Reckoner. Let's see, if 6 lands in play, so Sundering Titan by itself isn't going to stop me. I think I'm going to go with like the Eldrazi Monument play, so I'm going to sack War Marshal at Archmage. So we get a land. Do we just have lethal? My opponent does have one card in hand, but I mean, I should probably just go for it. So it's 8, 12. It is lethal if they don't have anything. Nice. All right, there were definitely a lot of different lines we could take with that game, and this one worked out. I think all the other ones would have been interesting too, whether to go for the monument plan or just start burning opponent's face, or some combination of both. But let's get on to game 2. So opponent is mana ramp, kind of like we faced the first round. So some cards that deal like Arc Trail could be pretty nice. I mean, that's in the main deck, but Firefist Striker probably goes. Not as good against elves. Ash Cloud Phoenix could be nice. Chandra is good. Let's get that in. Maybe Outpost Siege out. And Phoenix could be cool. Opponent is blue in addition to green, so maybe they'll have some stuff that deals with it, like a little weaker. Gouger gets a little weaker, since opponent might just have a lot of big creatures. I think I maybe could cut Gouger for Phoenix. It hurts my curve a little bit. And Siege is also, I think, a little bit slow, just the opponent's ramping into big threats. Also have Fire and Ice could come in, but I've got so much removal already, and it just deals 2 damage compared to the ones that deal 3, or like Arc Trail, Stagger Shock. So we're at 19. Not Bonfire. I just want Gouger. Keeps the curve still kind of low. I think that's just keeping the curve a little lower is better than going for Outpost Siege. So, yep, let's run this. I don't think we can keep this. I mean, FDK is nice on turn 4. Hellkite's a great turn 5 play, but I mean, we gotta be the aggressive deck here, and this just doesn't cut it. And we are on the draw, so mulliganing shouldn't be too bad. This is much better. So, especially would be great on the play. But turn 1 Noble, turn 2 Pyromancer. We can keep most spells on the top, put a land on the bottom. And then we got Stagger Shock plus the Pyromancer to get more tokens and kill off a couple elves. So this hand looks good. Opponent also mulligan and put a card on the bottom. And a Rift Bolt's nice. No turn 2 play. Hopefully there's no counter for the Pyromancer. And there isn't, so this is looking good. And no Courser on turn 3. So this is looking really, really good. Let's attack with both. And we can either do something cute with the Pyromancer making more tokens. We could just play Phoenix as a morph. Both plays are pretty well. Okay. I don't think opponent's having it. Yeah. Let's see. What play would I made there? Gosh, any play would have been good there. I think, like, since the Phoenix costs 6 to unmorph, it's not something you usually want to play as a morph. So that makes it kind of tempting just to hold on to it and just play some burn spells first. But playing it as a morph, we just have so much on the board, and then we back it up. We get to remove whatever blockers opponent plays. So didn't matter too much what we did there, but I think I probably would have gone for the burn spells. Maybe like suspend Rift Bolt and then hold up Lightning Bolt. But we won. I mean, yeah, it's mono red, but I think the token aspect of it makes it a lot more interesting to play. And extremely powerful too. So yeah, first pick Perforos. It works. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it and learned something, and I'll see you next time.